All right, how's everybody doing? Mike Jeffers here, Chicago Music Revealed, Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and the program director at the EPIPHANY Center for the Arts. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday. What a day. I went out there this morning. I was fully expecting to get hit in the face with a fiery wind coming off the lake, and there wasn't any wind this morning. Now I think there is now, so when I leave the office, it's probably going to be a little crazy out there. But hopefully everybody got out, enjoyed it a little bit, social distanced, of course, wore a mask if they went anywhere, and washed their hands with hand sanitizer and bleach. I mean, my hands are beat up pretty good, but I think everybody's is because of the situation. So we had a great show yesterday. Thanks to Joel Spencer again for jumping on, and it was a pleasure talking to him about great Richie Cole, who passed away over this past weekend. And all of the shows now are starting to be posted on our podcast platform as well. Joel's is up there today. It's also on IGTV, and it's on ChicagoMusicRevealed.com. Just a couple of housekeeping notes here as well. Tomorrow will be coming out. We will have the Blues in Chicago and Beyond report with Dave Katzman. He's going to come on. He's got a lot of blues news. He calls everybody throughout the country and talks to them about what's happening on the blues scene, which is great. So we've got some good information coming back from him tomorrow. And then also on the show tomorrow, the interview will be with the legendary John Primer will be on tomorrow. We'll be talking all about his incredible career, his years he played with Muddy Waters and toured throughout the entire world. So that's going to be a fun show tomorrow. And then we're going to be into the weekend. And then next week, I'm going to announce the guests coming up for next week over the weekend. We're still solidifying a few things, and I might have a programming note that I might be changing the time on one of the days, but we'll let everybody know that. Of course, if you like this show, please share it. Please tell your neighbors, tell your friends. As I always say, call the grandkids, ChicagoMusicRevealed.com. We're here every day at 4 p.m. Episode 29 is today, and on this show, I'm excited. We're going to bring on Shaunda Brooks-Green. She is the founder of Windy Fest, which is how we met over at the EPIPHANY Center for the Arts. And then she's also the founder of 6D Networktainment. And she is the marketing coordinator in innovation, arts, and entertainment. So Shaunda, how are you?
I'm great, doing the best I can in this madness right now. How are you?
Well, same thing, right? The same deal. I know we've talked offline a little bit about what's going on, and we actually had been planning Windy Fest to come to EPIPHANY, and that's how we met. We met over at EPIPHANY when you popped in, and we did a walkthrough. And the whole concept behind Windy Fest is exciting to me. So that's the first reason why I wanted to have you on the show. But then the more we talked when we were trying to figure out dates and times because of the COVID-19 thing, I think we were originally talking about doing something in August, then it got pushed to September, and now it's being pushed into November is what we're looking at now, which is no problem. But you're in the entertainment business like I am, but you're working in several different layers of the entertainment business. So yeah. What's your experience right now? I mean, what are you hearing? Because you work with national artists and national brands on the entertainment side of the business. So what are you hearing right now as far as all of this is going on?
Yeah, it's such a questionable time just because we don't know what the future holds. I mean, there's rumors about even the fall getting a wave of the virus, and, things have been just a roller coaster from there. So we don't know what is to come, but I know a lot of summer festivals are kind of being canceled right now. A lot of concerts are being canceled. I know Missouri was trying to start doing concerts as of like next week or next month or something like that, which is kind of insane just because it's not the time to do that. But as of right now, it's looking like next year, second quarter of next year is when things are going to start picking back up from a live entertainment perspective, and hoping that we can go outside without masks.
I can't even imagine Missouri doing something next week. What are they in another? Are they on another planet somewhere?
Exactly. I saw that news yesterday, and I'm like, wait, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Are we in the same country? Or
I know. It's unbelievable. The one thing I'll say too, and your take on this is, I don't think people feel comfortable necessarily, even if even if the government says, hey, everything's great, charge, I don't know if people are going to feel comfortable coming out like they used to come out to a lot of these festivals and events right now until there's a vaccine or some sort of protocol or something in place. I mean, what are you hearing on that line?
Yeah, definitely. I hear a lot about people actually being cautious, which is great because, I mean, we've been quarantined for a while, so you would think people are ready to charge outside and, kind of get right back on board with how everything was before. But I've heard a lot of people, kind of wanting to baby step the next, process. But the issue is with just small businesses not making money and things like that, and just people wanting to go out and support those businesses to get them back up and running. That's definitely the biggest, crisis right now is the financial crisis within this as well.
That's that problem, right? Is that everybody knows they need to stay home, and if everybody had enough money to keep their businesses going and keep everything afloat, everybody would just hunker down for a couple of more months, get this thing completely under control, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. But
Absolutely.
having to rush back in, and I mean, I know you used to work for DCase, and I worked with Chicago Jazz Magazine heavily with DCase. I still do, with the blues and jazz and house and all those different festivals. And those are all, a couple are still in question, but a couple are completely canceled. So this is a busy, busy time of year for everyone in the arts community, everyone in the entertainment business. And, that's why we're talking about Windy Fest, doing that in November. And let's talk a little bit about Windy Fest. So we're going to have it at Epiphany. I think it's November 8th. Is that the date that we were settling on? The 8th or the 11th? I don't have it in front of me. Unfortunately, I'm not.
The 8th, yeah,
the 8th.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But let's talk a little bit. This is the third annual. So what is Windy Fest and how did it start?
Yeah, so Windy Fest started off actually my graduation party. The very first one we held in 2017. I graduated from Columbia on my hoodie with my master's in arts management. So I wanted to throw something that encompass everything that I learned from my undergraduate career, my graduate career, and put it all together and kind of have like a charity aspect to it where we give back.
Uh-oh, I think we just froze up. Hang on one second here. Let's see if we catch back up. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we good?
You're back. You just came back. Okay, go ahead. You graduated. Was it your graduation party? That's the beauty of Skype, right? At least I've seen things freeze up on Skype, but on CNN. So this is way better because it's on my show right now. So who cares? So, so anyways, go back. So you started in graduation. It was your graduation party, and you wanted to do something with the artists.
Absolutely. So yeah, just giving that platform to arts organizations that give back to the arts and music community in Chicago. So we partnered with Social Works, which is Chance the Rapper's organization that gives back to programs at public schools. So we partnered with them and raised money to give back to them. And I put together a team and we booked all the artists, we booked the venue, we got some sponsors, and just got a lot of fun things on board. And it wound up being such an amazing project that after that happened, people were like, when's the next one? And I'm like, wait, again? This is just supposed to be a one-time thing. But as we talked about it, it was just something that I wanted to do again. And we skipped 2018 because I had to plan my wedding. So when it comes to planning, it's like weddings, Windy Fest,
And you couldn't turn your wedding into Windy Fest. That would not work very well.
That would have been amazing. Definitely. So then we skipped 2018, went to 2019 for planning, and had our second annual last year. So hopefully things turn around for this year. But we still hold the same purpose of picking an arts organization, a different one each time, to give money back to, and just celebrate arts and culture in Chicago.
That's the thing that I loved about the mission when we were first talking about it, is the fact that you're giving back to a specific arts organization, but also the fact that I don't know of any any festivals or any fundraisers or anything like that that's actually incorporating all of these emerging artists and putting a spotlight on all these different emerging artists? I mean, you have some well-known artists too, but the emerging artists, I think that's one of your passions, right? I mean, that's one of your missions in this whole thing, is to get that word out. And that's, I think, where the Epiphany Center for the Arts clicked and really made a lot of sense to me with Windy Fest, but also, you know, you and I have talked about, you've turned some other artists on so I can check them out to potentially bring them into our emerging artist programming over at the Epiphany Center for the Arts. So talk a little bit about that, because there's not a lot of showcases that are well run for emerging artists. And that's, I think, where your organization really fills a need.
Absolutely. Especially in Chicago, we are in a renaissance of just artists, music artists, visual artists, all different types within the arts community. And it's booming. We are a great city for that, very DIY city for that. So I wanted to create a platform where we could showcase those artists, because a lot of the bigger opportunities for festivals in Chicago and even in the US, it's kind of hard for emerging artists to, you know, get everything going on their side to get up to that level to perform at a Pitchfork or a Lollapalooza or Riot Fest or anything like that. So they best be that forum for us. How big their following is, if we saw the talent, you are worthy of this stage.
That's the key, and that's the key for a lot of these younger artists, is they need that platform. They need something, but they need a platform with a little bit of coordination behind it, so that they don't just come and do something and then great, I just performed and now I'm out of here and nobody cares and I'll see you next year, you know. But you also have, now talk a little bit about the 6D Networktainment, and about, is that the same organization we were talking about that you guys do the clinics and the different, or what group is that? That's the same one, right? That you guys do the clinics and the master classes and all that. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 6D Networktainment started back in 2018. Some of my core members from the first Windy Fest team, we kind of came together and started this organization that gave those artists, you know, the resources that they would need to move forward in the industry and learn more about the business. Because, you know, I would have to say, even in my experience coming up as an emerging music professional, having those mentors in place and those people who reach back helped me to get to where I am today. So wanting to create a platform to, you know, give back the way that people gave back to me. I mean, these artists, they're not making a ton of money. They want to quit their jobs. They want to do music full time. So why not, you know, give them the gems that they need to move forward in that way?
That thing
and
that
that's what we do.
That's the thing also that you don't learn in school. You know, you don't walk into music class and they tell you how hard it is to become a professional musician, because you have to do all of this stuff. That part they leave out half the time, you know. So you're really filling a void, and I think that what you're providing is like that bridge to get from whether they're in school or not in school, but the creation part to actually the business part, and putting those things together. And they're able to also, I'm assuming that you probably mentor a lot of these artists, right? That you know, they connect with you outside of the different seminars and classes that you do, just to pick your brain a little bit, because you're in it, you know how things work, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we help each other out, like even things that I don't know about, maybe the recording process or anything that they're doing, you know, they involve my team with what they have going on. They reach out to us if they have questions about anything. And we just take pride in being that liaison for them to even get certain context that they may need, you know, moving forward in their career. So it's a great position to be in for sure.
All right. So since this is Chicago Music Revealed, you're the exact person that I should ask this question to. So who are some of the emerging artists, some artists that are off the radar, that people that are watching this, that I'll tag on all of the posts then too? Can you name a couple of people that we should definitely check out, that we should turn our listeners on to and our viewers on to, so that they can go check them out? Because let's give everybody a little love here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a hip hop and soul artist named Asar, and he is phenomenal. Just such a great artist to work with, and very, very talented. He kind of crosses between hip hop and R&B. And then there's a hip hop artist. He's also a teaching artist at Young Chicago Authors. His name is Matt Muse. Very talented. Talks a lot about mental health awareness and just uplifting the Black community. We also have a Muslim R&B artist named Binta. She's very talented. She's a singer-songwriter and writes a lot about her experience as a first-generation Senegalese American, as well as being a Muslim artist as well, and tying that into her music as well. So those are just a few. I could sit on here and name everybody. And I would love to put all of my artist friends on for sure, but a lot of talent in this city for sure.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. I mean, you're in the business, I'm in the business, and we always hear, "Oh, I got to go to LA, I got to go to New York, I got to get on the coast, I got to do this, I got to do that." But realistically, I think Chicago is one of those spots that if you're a creative, it's almost the perfect spot because it's small enough. There's a community here, but it's small enough that you can really start to really create and work with people rather than have to compete against people constantly. But then it's big enough where the heavy duty artists are here and you have the connections, and some of the industry people are here in Chicago, or they come in and out of town enough that everybody knows who's who. So if you are moving up the food chain, it's almost better to get connected in Chicago, because then when you go to New York, but you know people from New York that are in New York because you met them in Chicago. Is that sort of what you find as well?
Absolutely. I can attest to being one of those who wanted to move to LA or New York because I'm just like, I just want to be in the music business and, just having those aspirations. But once I started, kind of developing hands-on skills and meeting proper people to meet in Chicago, I found out that I can do this myself, and that Chicago provides a very unique opportunity to hone these skills here and keep them here and invest in the artists that are here. And it's so much easier to do it here. Going to a LA or New York or even Nashville or Atlanta, any of those big music cities, is overwhelming. I love those cities a lot, but it's definitely overwhelming to come from another city to there where they're used to it. They see it every day. They deal with it every day. So.
Well, and also, I mean, you take like Atlanta and Nashville. I mean, Nashville, until, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, was primarily country down there. Now it's everything because of the recording business and all that. And Atlanta blew up from a hip hop standpoint, 15 years ago, something like that? I mean, really blew up where people started heading there specifically. But, Chicago's one of those melting pots. And that's the thing that I find too, is that there's whatever clicks, but there's only clicks in Chicago only because it's not that the other genres don't get along. It's just they don't know each other. When they all get together at, say, a Windy Fest, and they all get together, everybody's like, cool. And then they find different collaborations. And I think that that's one of the things. I mean, Chance, how many different people has he collaborated with? I mean, give me a break. But I mean, there's so many different artists here in Chicago that collaborate and cross genres. I'm, you and I are on the same page. It's like, boy, stay in Chicago as an artist. If you can dominate Chicago and really get your word out in Chicago, Atlanta, Nashville, New York, LA are going to call you. They're going to want you to come there. And that's one of the things I think people need to think about.
Absolutely.
So, all right, before we wrap this entire thing up, why don't we talk a little bit about the Windy Fest artists and who you are thinking maybe you might have on, or if you have any seminars or any of the master classes that we talk about that people can check out and sign up for. We'll do all of our promo plug in here because I want to make sure everybody is connected on this and they can ask you questions whenever they need to ask questions. So what do you have coming up? I know Windy Fest is in November. I don't know if you've announced any artists yet.
We have not announced artists yet, but please stay tuned with what we have going on. You can find our contact information at wendyfestshy.com, and kind of look into our Instagram because we will be announcing some really exciting programs very soon on how you can get involved with Wendy Fest and perform. For 6D Networktainment, we are still active. We found a way to kind of incorporate our programming into the virtual space. So we have done quite a few just workshops and different talks about creating while in quarantine. And we release what we call 6D tips every Wednesday. And it's industry tips. We give our own accounts, our own experiences, and also experiences from other people as tips that artists can even implement now while in quarantine. So definitely check us out. We have a website as well. That's 6dnetworktainment.com. And our Instagram and social platforms is the same thing, 6D Networktainment, and it's spelled exactly how you would think it's spelled.
How'd you come up with that name? How'd you come up with the name 6D Networktainment?
It's so weird. I honestly don't even remember. One thing that stood out to me was that 6D represents 6 degrees of separation. So that in Chicago with our DIY scene, you're 6 steps away from knowing someone who knows someone else who can connect you to this person, and you go to the same places and same events and see the same people.
Yeah.
So finding ways that we can unite in that way, like instead of ignoring the same people you see every day, definitely talking and networking and collaborating with them. That is our main mission. And then the Networktainment is kind of just a tie on. We wanted to be an entertainment space, so we also have open mics and things like that we do. But we wanted to focus on the business side of things and show that people that we are about education. Yeah. So Networktainment became a word.
Hey, I should ask you this because I have thoughts on it, and I think I'll let you answer before I give my pontification on it. But I think the silver lining out of this whole COVID-19, and you brought up the quarantine clinics and master classes and things you're doing with 6D Networktainment. The silver lining out of all this is that musicians and creatives are going to figure out how to live stream, how to connect with people digitally more than they ever have in the past, just out of necessity. And I think it's going to open up different streams for people to distribute their, music, art, whatever it is. But let's specifically talk about music because, everybody would go from one gig to another, or another performance, drop some things on SoundCloud, drop things out on Instagram. 90% of it was never organized. It was just random. Hey, here it comes. Okay. And then they forgot all about it after a while. So what are your thoughts? Because I think this whole time, might be the silver lining coming out of this whole mess we're in.
Definitely. I think it's a blessing in disguise. Sorry, my dog is barking right now. I think it's a blessing in disguise because it's teaching and challenging people to really learn different ways of communication. So we are used to being so busy, so on the go. We are going from one job to the next and one event to the next. And now we're being forced to sit down and do all the things that we put off pretty much. Everything that, we wanted to win but shied away from and distracted ourselves, we're being put in the face of it. So I think it gives a time for people who are extra busy to sit down and reflect and go over their plan and how everything is working for them. And it's also giving people who that drive to come up with creative ways on how to move forward their brand and their artistry. So I think very unique time is definitely a challenging time. Let's not ignore that fact. But I think with organizations like mine, and there's definitely several others that have been just giving so much back to artists right now, it's definitely a great time for people to start trial and erroring the things that they do on the digital space and how to do it better.
No, I agree. I think that's, and you're the marketing coordinator too, right? So, when you think about all of the different things and all of the different things that artists do, a lot of it, very rarely is it like actually somebody sat down for 3 days and thought about how they were going to do something. It's always like, boom, all right, let's go. Let's get this out. Let's get this out. And now I got to do this and I got to, and it's sporadic. But I agree. I think it's almost like a pause. Everybody can stop, sit down and think about it for 5 minutes and then start to push this out a certain way. And then that's also going to, I think, make the music and the creatives rise to the top. The ones that really have the good stuff, they're going to find those levels and get to the top. And after this whole thing, they're going to be in an incredible position to be able to really maximize afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is a time to realize that it is a marathon and not a sprint.
Perfect. I totally agree. Yeah. Well, Shaunda, this has been fun, man. I'm glad we connected. I'm glad we made this happen today. This is awesome. And where do you want anybody to head over that you want Windy Fest? Well, give the website again. I didn't write it down because I was talking.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So Windy Fest Shy, CHI.com. For 6D resources is 6DNetworktainment.com. And then for my own personal stuff, I have my own website as well. It's ShaundaBBrooks.com. Or you can follow me on all social media platforms at Shawnee World.
Perfect. And we're going to link all that stuff up and we'll put everything in the descriptions. But this has been great, Shaunda. I'm so glad we connected. I mean, lots of, I think the more some of our, I have musicians on, but the more people like you I can have on where we're talking specifics about the ins and outs of the business and somebody who's created all of these different organizations. And, I know that you're not even, 26 yet. So, I mean, give me a break. So, I mean, my God.
I'm actually 28. I'll be 29 in October.
Right. Well, either way, you're way younger than me, and you've got all this stuff going on. So congratulations. All right, have a great day. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay safe, and I'm looking forward to having working with you on Windy Fest over the Epiphany Center for the Arts and also a whole lot more. So thanks so much for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, Shaunda Brooks. Shaunda Brooks-Green. Outstanding. I'm so glad that she was on. She and I mean, when we first talked, when we were at Epiphany Center, we were talking about, and she was describing Windy Fest to myself and the owner, David Chase, over there. And we were like looking at each other like, wow, this is incredible stuff. So November 8th, we're planning on doing it still. So it's going to be dependent upon what's happening with the city. But she's also got so many different things going on. So be sure to check out. We're going to link everything up down below. And everybody should at least follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social platforms, because I love the fact that they do like an industry tip every Wednesday. There's like 6 tips. Who wouldn't want that? I don't know. Now I'm just doing a show here. I need to start coming up with other content as well, but that's great. All right. Thank you to Shaunda Brooks-Green again, and WindyFestShy.com to get more information on the fest that's coming up in November as well. All right. I appreciate everyone for watching. This has been fun. We're a little bit of I was actually on time today. So those of you that tuned in, expecting to see Mike Jeffers at 4:10, you missed 10 minutes of the show. I was on time. That means the technology is actually working better over here. So that's getting frightening that I'm knowing what I'm doing a little bit better. So I appreciate everyone for watching. Everyone, if you like this show, please share it. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, call the grandkids, tell everyone. 4 p.m. ChicagoMusicRevealed.com. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, ask a question, leave a comment. We encourage all of that. And until tomorrow, hopefully everyone stays safe, everyone hangs out, enjoys the sun today, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Chicago Music Revealed with a special guest. John Primer is going to be on, along with Dave Katzman doing his blues in Chicago and beyond. So we've got a packed show tomorrow. Stay safe. We'll see you there.